The Zone Coverage Podcast Network.
The Andy Lucanary Football Machine.
Autobots, transform! I like this kind of party!
Straight cash, homie.
Starts now.
Welcome back to Thunder Up, another Zone Coverage Football Machine, Zone Coverage Podcast Network. I'm your not so humble host, Andy Carlson, at Andy Carlson Show on the Twitter machine, and I have equity. More equity than Kirk Cousins being the only quarterback on planet Earth that Jalen Ramsey didn't trash.
That was wild, man. I was expecting him to go after Cousins.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, he's a winner.
He's a winner.
Okay.
That was so weird.
See, I even had to look up. It's like maybe Ramsey and Kirk have the same agent, but no, it's not true. It's like... That's weird.
I don't think Ramsey would hold back for a same agency type player. But that was a good instinct to look that up.
Yeah, but it's like, I didn't have time to like cross-reference. Like maybe he had like 3 picks, and Ramsey was like, yeah, it's pretty decent. Help me out.
Is he gonna
those are pretty good articles.
Is he going to get upset if they film the games? Going to get upset at NBC and Fox?
Probably, yeah. He'll probably tweet some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some fan in the stand with their iPhone.
No,
yeah.
Effing NFL Network just showing the video of Stephon Diggs burning my guy AJ Bouye.
How would he handle Hard Knocks?
He'd be the star.
He would be the star.
Yeah, I know, but he got mad at that one reporter who was literally doing his job, just being like, "Yeah, there's a fight in camp."
I think it has to do with what the expectation he thinks was set up beforehand. So actually, I think he'd be okay with Hard Knocks.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
Because they're supposed to film everything, whereas this reporter pulled out his phone specifically in response to the fight, which, again, he's doing his job. I'm totally on the reporter's side here. But I can kind of see why that might be different for him in that hypothetical scenario.
I just thought it was odd.
Speaking of wide receiver media debacles, the Antonio Brown, Ed Bouchette drama.
That bothered me. So I even got into a fight on Twitter, which, I mean, surprise. Yeah. But
I like...
No screenshots.
I like that the Steelers, like, blogosphere equivalent of us are, like, taking shots at Ed Bouchette. It was like, all right, maybe there's something more there that we don't know about.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Like the...
Because all Bouchette tweeted that was that Antonio Brown is doing individual works and he limped off the field. And both of those things were true. It turns out, like Adam Schefter ended up sourcing someone who's not Ed Bouchette to say a very similar thing.
Yeah.
So, like, what made Antonio mad?
I don't know. Players sometimes can get really weirded out about.
Hey, Ed. Hey, if you're going to have me limping, you have to live stream it on Facebook, which I have a contractual promotional obligation
that he cannot fulfill.
Let me just live stream the locker room. It's like,
I know.
How's there not like 9 Vasantes just like hanging out? I was like, what's up? I mean, because
I think the preferred nomenclature is a Shanko.
I mean, because if I was a pro player, it's like, especially if I'm alive, it's like, man, I just got done like bashing my head against a 300-pound MFer. I pissed on my pants, just like Mark Schleiter used to do all the time. Those pants are coming off.
You're in a locker room.
Yeah.
Do you remember when NFL Network did that? They filmed the wrong way, and they did an interview going into the locker room rather than going into the locker.
Oh.
And it was straight up live like ass. Like on NFL Network.
All right.
Good Morning Football.
Such a great show. Even though I'm still
a good show.
I'm still not sure which one is Brandt and which one is Schrager. I go back and forth. It doesn't matter. Joining me, as always, Arif Hassan, NFL. Hola.
Hey.
How are we? I just learned how to say that in Chinese, but I forgot it now. So I'm doing really well. Also, Saxy, Yinka, at Saxy Prince. What's going on?
Not much, man. Just getting back from training camp. It was actually a lot of fun today. Those joint practices. This is my first time ever being at a joint practice, so it was just good to see the Vikings wide receivers go against their DBs as well as our DBs go against their wide receivers and Blake Bortles. Yeah, it was a lot more fun just seeing different faces out there.
We'll dive into the Jaguars, Vikings joint practices, talkers in a sec. But also working the board, Tom at T-Schreier3. What's going on?
I'm here.
Why should people subscribe other than they get to be your best friend and also they get to hang out with Riles? Like, that should be a part of the deal.
It should be a part of the deal. No, you can either go the $24.99 route, get some gift cards. Otherwise, the Go Nocturnal, a Reef shirt, $20, and we'll have more stuff like that too. If you're a Vikings fan, we'll find some Vikings based apparel. Otherwise, we'll have Wolves, Twins, Wild.
Hey, can we get a Yinka shirt?
We should. Yinka, what do we want to do for your shirt?
Oh no, have a photo of Yinka, except Simpsonized like Bleeding Gums Murphy on the sax.
Hey,
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
I think. We could get Alex Conover, our artist. We could probably get someone going like that.
And see, don't worry about trademark infringement because, like, the guys at the Chive and the Bill Murray T-shirt, like, they never license his image there. They're just like, all right, if he sues us, okay.
That's true.
I need to put in a request to play the national anthem in a Vikings game this season.
Ooh, that'd be awesome.
Except you have to do it BGM style and have it go half an hour.
We could build the promo around you playing
the national anthem.
Are you on board with this? I kind of like the shirt idea.
I can do it.
Yeah.
Now, you can do sax. Would you sing?
No, I would not sing.
Oh, okay.
Definitely would not sing.
Just say it.
All right. Now, even though it's football season, can you do the Kenny G thing where you can
Circle breathe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Does that help you out romantically? Imagine it would.
When I'm blowing in a lady's ear, yes, it does.
Okay, no further details. Have you tried going for Kenny G's record of holding the longest note?
I hate Kenny G, so no.
Well, but then you would be beating him. Why wouldn't you?
I don't like Kenny G.
It sounds like...
I don't like Kenny G.
Did you tell Mike Boone that? Boone's a huge Kenny G fan.
Well, I don't want to tell him. I don't want to tell him because then his father will be in my DMs.
Shout out to Michael Booth Sr., by the way, the favorite parents of this year's Twitter class.
Yeah.
It's tradition unlike any other. It's great. Also,
I always forget about it until it happens, too.
Follow Zone Coverage on Twitter at Zone Coverage MN. Subscribe, rate, review us on the iTunes. We're also on Stitcher and Heart Radio as well. But Jaguars, Vikings, joint practices. Gentlemen, takeaways. You're both there on the ground. Thoughts?
Mike Hughes is so good. It's ridiculous. Like,
he's good,
you see the practice highlights and whatnot the Vikings put up, and it just doesn't do enough justice with how good he actually is. His hips are some of the most fluid hips I've seen.
Great dancer.
Exactly.
So actually, his pelvis is actually two parts. They're not even attached to each other.
Exactly.
So easy.
Exactly. And he's able to stop on the dime. A lot of times he's constantly in wide receiver's hip pocket. I just think that his sky's really the limit with him.
Dude, he's really good, man.
Yeah.
So Yinka mentioned that, you watch these Vikings highlight vids and they look really good. But most people that I talk to, maybe not most people, will filter that through the fact that the Vikings are showing stuff that makes their draft picks look good, right? And so it's easy to just be like, oh, that was a cool highlight and kind of move on. But to see the consistency of performance, snap after snap, practice after practice, and then he goes up against receivers that he's never seen before, and to still perform like that, that's incredible. He had one bad rep in the wide receiver DB one-on-ones.
Was it against Rashad Green?
It was actually against Jaden Mickens, who had a good year last year, if I remember.
Yeah.
And then he just shut Mickens down for the rest of those drills. So it had a pass deflection, was in really good coverage. He's great. Overall, from the bird's eye view, I would say I love joint practices. Holy crap,
they're a lot of fun.
Super fun. Pretty hectic. It was difficult for us to get used to. Even because you've got twice as many players. Even if I'm not supposed to keep track of who the Jacksonville players are, or what they're going to do, they're playing at the same time. And so the Vikings offense against the Jacksonville defense, and then the Jacksonville offense against the Vikings defense. Yeah. They go boom, 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 one after another. And you look at one, maybe you can send out a tweet or write a note or something, and by the time you've looked up from your phone to your notebook, the rep on the other side of the field is already happening.
Yeah, or you're like CT, hunting and pecking with that index finger, tweeting out on fire.
Really, honestly, my commitment to using any punctuation at all is holding me back.
Yeah.
No, it's
That's
like
the problem.
It's like Arif said. It's you would look at the Vikings defense, and then maybe the offense did something crazy, and you would hear the cheers from the fans. You're like, oh crap! Well, I missed something. Potentially spectacular that happened, but. No, it was really good to see their defensive line going against our offensive line and their offensive line going against our defensive line. I would say the Jaguars, for the most part, on both sides on the trenches, looked very, very good.
In the trenches, they look great.
Calais Campbell is a freak of nature. Yeah. He's so massive, and I mean, even if you put him next to a guy like Linval Joseph, and he still looks so big.
Yeah. Calais Campbell is a freaking man side. Like he was decent in Arizona, but I feel like they wasted him being a 3-4 DN. But it's like since he got to Jacksonville, he's just a man amongst little boys. Not a man amongst boys, man amongst little boys. Yes.
I also want to say I do think that Jacksonville receiving core is underrated. Obviously, they lost Hearns and Robinson.
Mm-hmm. Allen squared.
Yeah, Allen squared.
Also, in that order of importance, as weird as that sounds.
But so obviously, it's not as good as it could be. I don't think like Marquise Lee is the truth or anything like that. But I thought Keelan Cole looked good. I thought Jaden Mickens looked good. DJ Chark looked good.
Mm-hmm.
Rashad Green might finally have turned it on. Maybe.
He's like Diet Justin Hunter. Like this is the year.
This is the year. He's like their version of Treadwell.
But this is the year for Treadwell.
I mean, yeah.
Or Berber.
But yeah, I liked actually what I saw from them. I was kind of surprised. I wasn't expecting a ton out of them, even though I knew that Keelan Cole had produced a lot last year. So that was cool. The Vikings defensive line, it was nice to have them go up against an offensive line that had, I think, more of an ability to stop them.
Mm-hmm.
And there were just times where Bortles just had a lot of time in the pocket, which
can be a bad thing.
Really used to seeing.
No.
Well, I mean, it could be a bad thing for them, but he gets longer to consider what terrible decision he's about to make.
Where would you put Bortles in ranks of current NFL starters?
Assuming he's improved as much as the Jacksonville media says he has in camp, maybe around 20th.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Right at 20.
If he hasn't improved, like 28. He's not good, man.
Yeah, Vikings
Sorry,
wise.
Trade for Teddy. He's in.
Wait, Jacksonville or
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Vikings wise, who's showing up?
Yes, whoever. Yes. Who showed up on the Viking side?
Yeah.
Roc Thomas had a couple of really good plays that were kind of nice to see.
Laquan Treadwell is still making plays.
I must have missed that just because there's so much stuff happening. I was watching a lot of the defensive stuff for the Vikings. Mike Hughes, obviously. Holton Hill's finally, kind of come back after dying down.
Yeah. He didn't really have that great when they were doing one-on-ones. I would say he really didn't have that great of an outing today.
Yeah. I thought he started off with one or two mistakes in one-on-ones, but by the end of one-on-ones and by the time he got into 11s, both in the red zone and in scrimmages, I thought he looked really good. And Mac looked great.
Yeah, Mac looked great. He had this one. Who I can't remember who he was on or whatever. The shorter wide receiver.
Oh yeah,
Jacksonville.
I tweeted that out. I think it was Jaden Mickens.
Jaden Mickens, and he had like really great coverage and stuff. And like Mac ends up kind of trash talking him, just like. You're too short. He has to throw it to your like outside shoulder or something like that. And it was just
he can't
great.
give you the back shoulder because you're too short. That was it.
Now sticking with corner. So Hughes, we already talked about, is already set and forget it. Wonderful, delicious. Getting some first team nickel reps, and this is what Zimmer had to say. He said, quote, kind of what sets him apart athletically, he's got unbelievable breaking quickness coming out of the cut. His feet are unbelievable. Rex Ryan's up. I want to see how he reacts. I want to see how McKenzie reacts, end quote. Now, the last part, of course, is just Zimmer playing the Zimmer games. But, I mean, we're sort of glossing over the fact that Mac has looked a lot better in year 3. And also Trey Waynes, for that matter, has looked good in year 4.
Yeah. It is interesting. Zimmer said that he and the other coaches had a conversation about Mike Hughes after the preseason game about how they've actually never seen a rookie cornerback do that. I guess throughout the staff, which would like include like Cherry Gray.
Is there a quality they can pinpoint that would make him? Because like those guys were supposed to be NFL ready, right? Trey Waynes,
smart as hell, Mike Hughes. Yeah. So he arrived at whatever community college he was at. I think it was Blinn, Cam Newton's community college. He arrived at his community college like with 2 weeks to go before the season, learned the defense, started within 2 weeks. So 4 weeks to learn the defense, became their star. No, Garden City Community College, the Broncbusters.
Yes, you're right. UCF, yeah.
And then he goes to UCF, and he's late to UCF. He has 2 weeks to learn the defense there. He starts right away.
So he's like the opposite of Cordero.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Cordero is still learning Minnesota's.
So yeah, he's super smart, and then he also has all these qualities. One of the things that also kind of separates him from Trey Waynes and Xavier Rhodes specifically is that he's super fluid, which you don't have to additionally learn how to overcome that obstacle as a corner, which is traditionally like a very important quality in a corner. So the fact that he has the ability to leverage how quickly he picks up a defense really quickly without having to overcome the technical barriers that come with like not being a very fluid cornerback, I think those are probably the qualities that make him stand out in terms of being like a defensive rookie phenom.
I completely forgot about the steal the show lady. The Jaguars. Yeah. Both Hughes. Yeah, I still understand. Like, people are like, well, can he play guard? Well, no, he cannot. But can he be... I'll say this right now. And this is not shade.
Mike Hughes cannot play guard.
This is not shade. I don't know. Well, if he gets on the Brian O'Neill diet times 2, which I still have issues with, 6 ounces is not a lot if you were bulking. But so tell me if I'm wrong here. And this is not a shot against Trey Waynes. I think Mike Hughes is the second best corner on the team right now.
I think by the end of the year, we could have a really good argument for that.
Camp. Camp.
By
the end of camp.
By the end...
You get going for blood, baby.
Trey Waynes has had a really good camp. I'm always really hesitant with rookies. I'm super like if it was, if we were covering the Browns and it was Baker Mayfield, and they were like, I think Baker Mayfield's a better quarterback than Tyrod Taylor. I'd be like, well, there's a really good chance of that, but I'm not going to say that, at the moment. And I think the same thing is through like Trey Waynes and Mike Hughes.
Yeah, I was thinking in the preseason, like they were saying, don't overreact to the O-line being okay because Denver's not going to throw their best blitz. Right, at them because they want to kind of hold that in the back pocket. Is there an equivalent for a wide receiver and a cornerback?
Not as much. I mean, there's an equivalent, I think, just for cornerbacks in general because you're not going to use as many complex coverages in the preseason, but it's still something that they will use in training camp. And one of the things that Zimmer mentioned in a presser specifically was that he's doing a really good job of figuring out when to hand off receivers to linebackers and safeties. He's doing a really good job of figuring out, kind of which receiver to pick up because the coverage rules can become very complicated very fast. So sometimes the coverage rules are as specific as if the number 2 receiver, which is the inside receiver, if the inside receiver is running a go, then you pick them up. But if they're not running a go, then you pick up the number 1 receiver unless the 1 receiver is running like a dig, and then you pick up the number 2. And so it gets really complicated pretty fast.
How did Fred Smoot play this position?
It's a fair question. I mean, I suppose it becomes...
Coverage rules were not as complicated before Saban kind of changed the game with the way that coverage rules kind of work.
Screw you and your freaking Rip Lizzie. I'll rip your Lizzie.
Rip Liz Fire is kind of one of the things that did it.
Get out of here.
It's weird when Andy drops like a super specific piece of...
See, I like to play dumber than I appear.
Wait. Yeah, I guess.
I don't know about that.
But I mean, like, you would have Fred Smoot play Meg, which is just man everywhere he goes. Which is the same thing Darrelle Revis played early on in the Jets. Like, it's not...
Before he was terrible.
What? He was good with the Buccaneers. It's just you couldn't like use him all that well in a cover 2. And so it's not like an indication that if you do play Meg that you're a dumb corner. It's more just a good application of the specific skills that you have. So yeah, the fact that Zimmer's isolated Hughes as learning these specific responsibilities really well, that's kind of interesting. Now back to I think the offensive line. You asked about whether or not a particular player with Brian O'Neill, he cannot play guard. Is that what you were asking? He can't play guard.
No, but he can't play.
Do not do that.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. It's like, say like a premier tackle is going to be a salary cap casualty and teams open a deal for him. Vikings can't really trade for him because, like, who are you going to kick into guard? Like, you're not kicking Hill or Reef or O'Neal into guard.
Right.
Got pigeonholed.
Yeah, you can't. Like, that's the thing about the Donald Penn half trade rumor thing that was happening while
go get him, bring him back home to Minnesota.
Before that's right. Yeah. Before they finally resolved whatever contract disagreement that they had.
Hey, you should take a last no.
Which is like, well, what do? Because the guard issue is the biggest problem, and they'd be like, well, replacing Hill isn't that bad. Which then you have to figure out, do you want to move Riley Reef back to right tackle? It's complicated, but
$58 million right tackle. Going all Lane Johnson on the bit.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
For a hot second, Phil Lodeholt was the highest paid right tackle in the league.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. I remember that.
Which I thought at the time was justified. And honestly, if it were not for the injury, I would have been right.
I can say that about a lot of things, though. Like,
I'm just saying he played at a really high level, and Vikings fans, I think, dogged him too much.
So like Greg Cook, greatest quarterback all time, except for the injury. Like Greg Cook and Teddy. That's it.
And Burt Jones. Come on, man.
And Timmy Chang. He didn't get hurt. He's just 18.
Oh, my God.
What? I can say that. I'm allowed to say
True.
that.
That's true.
Vikings-Broncos recap. So first-team offense looked pretty damn sharp. Marched around down the field, 75 yards. Cousins 4 for 4 on the drive, and also the super sweet, super-sized red zone threat, Stephon Diggs from a yard out. Boop. Get him off the field. We're good. We're fine. I think a lot more positivity rolling around after that first game.
Except for the OL.
They
did
the best they could.
If you wanted to spin it positively, it's that Cousins performed under pressure in the red zone, which is the exact scenario that I think a lot of people were worried about in terms of, what are his potential weaknesses? Well, the red zone and maybe under pressure. Pressure arrived really quickly, luckily for our evaluation purposes. And Cousins rifled a really difficult pass.
To Diggs.
On a slant to Diggs. So that's good.
The other thing to think about as well, too, is specifically on that play, he probably had every wide receiver open.
We had both slants open.
The Treadwell high was out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, Treadwell actually did run some good routes. That was not one of them, not because it was a bad route, but like, if a receiver's open, it's not necessarily because he ran a good route. Thielen executed a perfect rub. Like, the corner didn't have a chance. But yeah, he probably actually should have thrown it to Treadwell, but, you've Diggs on a rookie. You might as well take it, right? That was good. The offensive line at least blocked well enough on Latavius Murray's 2 runs outside of the goal line situation. In goal line, you kind of want, better run blocking. I'm not too concerned about, the play design in a preseason red zone situation, but yeah, Cousins had great ball placement, especially on that fade to Diggs.
It's beautiful.
Just gorgeous.
Also, that first throw of Diggs, or second throw of Diggs up on the sideline.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah, because, I mean, he did have, I forget if it was Adam or Laquan underneath and stuff, and that was maybe one of the criticisms of Keenum where, he would have those underneath routes that, he would take. And that throw to Diggs wasn't necessarily the...
it was not perfect ball placement. Yeah, I would say it's good ball placement.
Yeah, it was. And it's a chance that he definitely took, right? I mean, was Diggs completely open on that pat? No, but Cousins was able to put it in a place where, Diggs was able to use like a lot of his strengths.
Diggs is always open.
It's true.
Like Diggs should sue Chris Hogan for the nickname 7-Eleven. He's always open.
Is that one of Chris Hogan's nicknames?
It is, unfortunately. Yeah, but whatever.
Oh, God.
So besides the Roc Thomas hype train, some other guys that look good, I think. Can we just say Daniel Carson won the kicking job already? I mean, 57-yarder. No
not
big
after
deal.
Today.
Whatever. It's practice. Talk about practice. I don't care if he shank one in practice. I know that we're all hanging on every single kick. Is Kai expected to actually kick on Saturday?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like he might take all the kicks, right?
I don't know that he'll take all the kicks, although that would kind of match. I think it's more a case of you do want to continuously evaluate Kai, but you've got like a much larger sample of evaluation to draw from. Whereas with Carlson, you want him kicking in as many pressure situations as possible. So I would imagine Kai actually ends up taking field goals this time, but I wouldn't if I were kind of designing my preseason plan, I would still have Carlson kick a couple of field goals. That said, I wouldn't be surprised if Kai just took them all.
Also, Jalen Holmes, Fedio Denebo, interior D-line pressure. I like watching them.
Jalen, unfortunately injured, was doing some recovery work on the sideline today.
Yeah.
Why is everyone that hurt? I mean, Zylstra's hurt.
Zylstra's hurt.
Everybody likes Zylstra. You can't claim Zylstra.
I already did. I just did.
Yeah, I guess Zylstra's hurt too. Holmes looked good based off of what Zimmer said, which, I mean, he wasn't like mean-spirited when he was like, I wouldn't have given him as high a grade as PFF did. Based off of what Zimmer said, I'm kind of, maybe I'm reading into it a little bit too much, but I'm kind of thinking that there may be some freelancing that he shouldn't have done, where he got pressure, he got hits, I think he got a sack too, where maybe he was at risk of overrunning a player, he wasn't doing necessarily what he was supposed to do. Because based off of kind of what he did, and I think PFF kind of graded him correctly based off of that, that looked great, right? Like a good-looking spin move to get that hit.
Yeah.
He's been super up and down in camp. There are moments where he just flashes and it looks great, and he'll just throw like Colby Gossett off to the side, and he'll have a sack, and then he'll have a run of 5 plays where he does nothing at all. So yeah. The fact that he's injured now, I don't know. Before the game, there were some beat writers that were like, the Vikings may have to cut a 4th-round pick. He was not
been there.
Yeah, right. He was not playing all that well in camp, and then he does this, and it looks great. And then Zimmer's like, "Well, that was good." And the thing is, Zimmer was unreserved in his praise for Mike Hughes, and he's not Zimmer's not the kind of guy that'll be like, well, I'm going to criticize the 4th-rounder and praise the 1st-rounder. He was pretty critical of a couple of 1st-rounders the Vikings have had over the years.
Yeah.
So I think the fact that Zimmer kind of ratcheted down the compliments for Holmes tells us that maybe there was something there, and my guess is that it has something to do with freelancing. Afadi, though, I'm totally on the Afadi train. I think he looks great.
I think he might make it.
One roster spot, they goes to Afadi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so.
Would Holmes get through waivers onto the practice squad?
No, I don't think so.
I think there's a possibility. I think Holmes was, based off of what I've heard, slightly overdrafted, maybe by a round, so not a ton. Whereas Willie Beavers probably shouldn't have been drafted, right? Which is why he slipped through waivers.
Did you hear that from everyone when they made that pick? It's like, who?
Well, I mean, yeah, okay, I heard that from Twitter.
Yeah.
But I also heard that not directly from hashtag sources within or throughout the league, but from people. So this is third hand, but from people who have hashtag sources in the league, where a lot of executives thought that was an overdraft.
I heard that from you, fourth tier.
Yeah, there you go.
You didn't get any crap at all for that. Your comment about Willie Beavers being bad.
No, I didn't get any pushback at all.
Oh, okay.
About
Arif, I think they know what they're doing. No. Crapshoot, imperfect science. Some of that isn't imperfect, though, is the Dave Damashek football program. You know Shek. You love Shek. What's up? You want to hear your favorite players and analysts break down things on and off the field? Don't miss Dave Damashek football program. Shek and his guests operate on a strict no-jive policy. We should bring that into the show. I feel like there's too much jive, mainly by me. Whatever. Only honest,
Andy, you kicking yourself
unfiltered opinions allowed. From you want to know Cam Jordan's favorite Will Ferrell movie? Probably not, because I hate him and he's garbage. To Dak Prescott's take on the most handsome NFL quarterback. He's probably going to say Jimmy G. The Dave Damashek football program tackles the game of football and the game called life. Subscribe, Dave Damashek football program, available twice a week. Listen on your favorite podcast app or NFL.com. Also, I think he has a Vandy link. Yeah, whatever. All right, so back to, should Brian O'Neill start?
No.
I think you should.
I don't.
So the question is, right, if he starts right away, you're going to be restricted in your ability to coach him out of bad habits. And he could develop bad habits by panicking in response to kind of what's happening on the field, and then those bad habits can get ingrained. And I totally get that, and you probably might be limiting his ceiling by playing him right away and ingraining some of those bad habits. I think he's a better player than Rashad Hill. I think that based off of what he's been doing so far, that it is less likely that in response to things happening on the field, he'll revert back to bad habits and re-ingrain those.
And also, if he struggles, maybe he'll eat his feelings, which would actually be a positive.
That would be a positive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with that, my biggest not starting him is it is the habit thing, as I don't want to see him get into habits, and then if this is going to be your right tackle of the future, you don't want to spend the next couple of years really trying to get him out of these things that he got from starting right away. So really, you get to build him up exactly how you want him to be, and allow him to get a little bit more strength and even more size to him. He has the athleticism, so that's not a concern at all.
Yep.
I can also see the argument for starting him because you want Hill to be your swing guy. Yeah. And if Hill were to go down for an extended period of time, you would lose your flexibility as far as that. So I can understand that. I don't see O'Neal being ready yet.
I just love that mini soap opera with Rashad Hill being injured for 30 seconds. It's like before everyone was like, Rashad Hill is garbage. We need to trade for Lyle Collins or something and see if they'll take Mac Alexander for Lyle Collins. Rashad Hill is garbage. Rashad Hill gets hurt. Well, season's over. That is really about it. Reef, I agree with you that I think O'Neal, Rashad Hill is what he is, but I think O'Neal's a touch better than him at the moment, and I think Ty should go to the younger guy, even though it's usually the reverse in such a conservative league. And with O'Neal, he's different than TJ, where TJ just straight up had bad fundamentals coming in, like the TJ lean, which should have been. Damn it! I wish we were
like
more together. Yeah, we should have created a dance for it because that's what he did all the time. Just there you go. Where O'Neal, after his Senior Bowl performance, I'm just like, no.
You should have seen him in practices, man. He's bad.
But he's been holding his own, and he's a lot farther along than I thought he would be at this point. And the fact that Rashad Hill is still sort of failure to launch, why not?
Yeah, and I think Hill is better than the vast majority of backup tackles in the league. So it's not like, the Vikings are so screwed. Why did they keep Hill or whatever? I think the Vikings were right in thinking that he did have starting potential, and maybe a combination of Remmers and Hill is better than a combination of Remmers and Compton, right? That all makes sense. But while you've got this right tackle here who's already probably better than Hill, and one who has throughout camp responded to failure by correcting mistakes instead of doubling down on mistakes. I think you're in a spot where you don't have a ton of time in your current quarterback window. You've got a 3-year deal, and you want to see that ride out. You've got a quarterback who one of their biggest criticisms is their performance under pressure, and who has kind of vacillated in performance based off of the quality of a supporting cast. I think you try and surround him with as much talent as possible, take as much pressure off of him, and you may sacrifice, whatever his ceiling could be. Maybe, his ceiling is like Lane Johnson, and now you're only turning him into Goster Sherrillis or something, which is fine.
Yeah. Pride of Boston College. What's up, Gossler?
How do you do that?
I don't know. Because it was on Madden 09 where Goster Sherrillis was on one of the loading screens.
That's great.
Yes.
Why?
It's like, why are they showing the terrible Lions right tackle? It doesn't matter. Right now, you can have a mulligan, and you can keep Jeremiah Searles or roll with Tom Compton. Who are you picking?
Searles. What?
Searles.
How sad is that? Because remember when Searles left, everyone was like, deuces, we don't need you. You were terrible. But now it's like, miss you, buddy.
Searles was all right-ish at guard. He was just a really bad tackle.
Yeah. But that's where we're at Tom Compton, because he looks like the prohibitive favorite to start at that left guard spot, even though I think Danny Isidora is better. I think Danny Isidora has a much higher ceiling. Danny Isidora could be a potential starter. Hell, even Aviante Collins, toss him in there. But either Tom Compton right now is like Pitbull. I don't understand it. Why is he so popular amongst
Tom
the coaches?
Compton, Mr. Worldwide.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is it because Zimmer and Barone are sort of old school conservative guys? Well, I'm going with the veteran Spittoon.
Maybe I I don't know. Like, I can't imagine that they have some sort of like youngster vendetta against Isadora. Isadora was a 4-year starter at Miami too. Like,
Mike
it's not
Zimmer
like,
doesn't play rookies.
So yeah, I don't know. I think that once the process plays out through the third preseason game, it will be Isadora. Yeah, I think the fact that Compton is on a fake depth chart listed ahead of Isadora, where Remmers is on the depth chart as a right guard, is not super meaningful.
Yeah. One more talker, then we'll get into fill in the blank. Tom, pull up some music for fill in the blank. So going back to Trey Waynes, should it be trade Waynes?
Trade Waynes.
Because,
and you could pair him with Latavius Murray. Roc Thomas earned too.
Yeah. All right, but realistically, with Waynes, you have a guy who's going to make $9.069 million nice next year on his fifth-year option. A guy who, if he keeps continuing to play well, could be playing himself into a nice fat extension. Perhaps the Vikings can't afford another 8-figure cornerback out there. And it's like, you have an asset now. You got some depth with Hughes who looks good. Mack is stepping up in year 2 or year 3. And it's like, if you're going to trade from a position of strength to a position of need, now would be the time?
It would be. I think you kind of recreate cornerback as a position where you need depth, especially because, I mean, Hughes looks great in camp. He had a couple of really great preseason snaps. But, I mean, like, you're trading a guy that you know is good in order to bank on improvement from Mackenzie Alexander, as well as bank on a guy's promise in the preseason. And it's not like teams don't do this like all the time with first-round picks, but it still means your only depth is like a 40-year-old cornerback. And
Hey.
Who has looked very good in the offseason so far, Marcus Sherrills.
Marcus Sherrills. Yeah, I was about to say Newman hasn't actually.
Well, don't you know, like, I have my finger on the pulse of the fan base rectally. And Holton Hill, opposite Xavier Rhodes, it's the best cornerback duo in the league.
You know, when you put it like that.
Son.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, until today, Hill had fallen off a lot. So I don't know how committed they are to the idea that Hill will continue to provide.
When Chad Kelly's picking on you, it's like, okay.
Yeah, it was rough.
Yeah. Also rough. All right, so Tocho gives up 2 touchdowns, takes a bad angle on the Royce Freeman touchdown, ends up with a 90.1 PFF grade. Sure.
That's a problem with the 0 to 100 system.
Yeah.
That's entirely the fault of the way they choose to present the data.
Yeah.
If they had just used a plus-minus system, I think it would make it...
back in the day.
Yeah, right. I think it would make a ton more sense because we could intuitively just be like, well, he made a lot of mistakes. He made up for those mistakes by, catching an interception and forcing another one, and that more than cancels out touchdowns. And, okay, maybe net positive. Great. Yeah. But you understand that in a cumulative plus-minus system. In a 0 to 100 system, you think of it like a grade, where a 100 is one where you make 0 mistakes, right? If you get a 100, that means you're perfect, right, on your test or whatever. If you get a 90, that means you didn't make very many mistakes. There's no way to capture or express volatility in a 0 to 100 system. So he had a net positive grade. That is something that I can kind of agree with. I think that people kind of overreacted to, his 2 touchdowns because first impressions are really strong.
Yep.
And I thought the interception was a great read. But, if you get a 90, you shouldn't be making mistakes.
Yeah, I missed the plus-minus. Just pulled it up. Remember Rodgers back in the day, Monday Night Football against the Chiefs, I want to say?
They corrected that to a plus 0.2 or something.
Yeah, threw for 5 touchdowns. Initially was a negative 0.8.
Yeah. They wrote an article, too, about it. And the article made sense. It was like, well, all the touchdowns came off of, yards after the catch. I don't know what you want us to do.
Yeah. Now, it's like jabronis on Twitter that were criticizing is like, well, Teddy's pass, Kroll did all the work. It's like...
Right, yeah.
No.
So this is the thing that bothers me is like, okay, you all complain about using passer rating and stuff like that because you never capture how hard it was or what quarterbacks do. And that year Aaron Rodgers was their highest rated quarterback. They weren't hating on the dude. And they were just like, well, against the Chiefs it was a bunch of short passes.
Yeah. All right, so put a pin on Trey Waynes.
Trade Waynes.
Yeah. Also, I was so mad because I just tweeted out like hashtag Trade Waynes, like spelled properly, and then someone came up with the Trey with the D on the end. I'm just like,
oh, that is better, isn't it?
It is better.
Dang.
all right. So you tell me if you're in or out on these hypothetical trades. All right. So Trey Waynes to the Chargers for Forrest Lamp.
What? Yeah, obviously. What?
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Trey Waynes and a 5th for Forrest Lamp.
Sorry, I'm just really into this.
Yeah, I know you are. I know you are. I would, Andy.
Wait, what's the question?
Waynes and a 5 for Forrest Lamp.
Yeah. Fives aren't even real.
Well, tell that to Stephon
Yeah,
Diggs,
right, yeah.
Pride of Maryland, whose school is going to get shut down or get the death penalty, rightfully so. Next up, Wayne's.
Can we pause on that real quick? Didn't he have like a ruptured spleen and they went through all these quarterbacks? That was under someone different, right?
Yeah, it was under Randy Edsall.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
Yeah. Trey Waynes to the Patriots for Shaq Mason.
Sorry, this is pretty loud, actually.
Yeah, it's definitely distracting.
What was the question?
Waynes to the Patriots for Shaq Mason.
Yeah. I spent the whole session being like, don't trade him, you'll lose your depth. And like every suggestion, I'm like, sure.
I'm gonna say no, just cause.
All right, 2 for Waynes plus pick. So Waynes and a 3rd and a 4th for Brandon Scherf.
Oh
yeah,
that's a spicy meatball.
yeah, he's a very good guard.
What, they were the same pick, right? 11.
No, Scherf was top 5.
Yeah, Scherf was 4.
Oh wow, he got overdrafted to play guard. He's not
about
Quentin Nelson. Jeez.
We're about.
A 3rd and a 4 and
Yeah.
Wayne? Actually, I'll probably say no. Never mind.
They'll throw in a conditional 7th.
Oh, well then. Yeah. Oh, did you get Corey Coleman? Oh, all right.
God, Corey Coleman on Hard Knocks was just so funny and sad. But whatever. Last one. Let's get nuts. Wayne's 3rd and a 4th. Kelechi Assembly.
Yes.
What? Yeah. What?
Yes.
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 What would be your breaking point for that? Draft picks wise.
So Wayne's, I don't think I'd give up a 1st.
Wayne's a 2nd and a 5th.
A 2nd.
Wayne's for a 2nd and a 5th.
What? Oh, wait.
I would take that.
I get a 2nd back?
No. Wayne's a 2nd and 5th for Kelechi.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. No. Kelechi's old, right? He's like 29, 30?
Yeah, he got paid a lot.
Yeah, he get paid a ton.
They're an age in Ames, Iowa,
Yeah.
though. It's like Field of Dreams coming out of the cornfield.
I wouldn't do that. That 2nd is a little too much for me.
Yeah, Kelechi just turned 29 over June, so unfortunate. Wrapping up hour 1, we're going to play a little fill in the blank, so I'll throw out a sentence with a blank, and then you fill it in a la Mad Lib style. Although, I really am sort of pissed off at the current political climate because we can't use Mad Lib puns anymore because it's too on the nose.
Andy.
Yeah. Next up, first one.
Jesus.
The Vikings' first team offense is blank.
That was Andy's best joke in a month.
Yeah.
Jeez.
The Vikings' first team offense is
A work in progress.
yes.
You have to have a different one.
Works Progress Administration.
Average.
What, like 16th in the league average, or like average? I'm just like not excited by it. Average.
Just not excited about it. Average. Yeah.
If the Vikings are 16th in the league in total scoring this year, can the Vikings still win a Super Bowl?
No.
I mean, yeah, but it's going to take better turnover production from the defense than they've had.
Yeah, it's going to be like the 2002 Bucks where they scored like 9 touchdowns.
Right.
Or the 2016, the first 5 games Vikings defense.
Well, that defense is like better than the friggin' 2000 Ravens.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gruden's like, hey, Derek Brooks, if you guys such a good defense, why don't you start scoring? Because I'm not scoring with Brad Johnson, Joe Jurevicius, and the corpse of Keenan McCardle.
And
Michael Pittman.
There were no Bucks draft picks in that offense, at least among skill positions and quarterback.
That was sad. Starting left guard week 1 is blank.
Isadora.
Left guard?
Yeah.
What?
Wow.
Yeah, what? Why is that weird?
I thought you would have Isadora as the right guard.
No, Remmers is playing right guard.
I guess so. I would say Avion Collins.
Ooh.
I like that, actually.
It's a spicy meatball. Yeah.
Thanks, Tom.
I'm having some fun with this.
That's it. Yeah, I initially was like, all right, he doesn't really have the lower body strength to play guard in the NFL, but the Vikings run his own scheme. He had some snaps. Also, last preseason, I forgot he played some left guard snaps. I was like, whatever. I'm in. Next up, Blank will lead the team in targets this season.
Stephon Diggs.
Dude,
he's demolishing the targets in camp, and
it's disgusting what he's doing to these defensive backs.
Yeah.
Blank will lead the team in touchdowns this season.
Stephon Diggs.
Ooh. Am I smelling like a second-team All-Pro in the offing?
I mean, you target your number one wide receiver, right?
I know. That's the Falcons when they're in the red zone.
Wow.
Oh, man.
Stephon Diggs is already a better red zone threat than Julio, though, right?
Yes. Yeah, I think we're finally past that era of like just get a tall receiver and throw it to him.
Yeah, it's all about spacing now.
Yeah, like Plaxico is probably lucky he shot himself in the leg because he couldn't play now. Well, that needs 40, but whatever. Next up, Daniel Carlson's longest field goal this year is blank yards.
61.
What? They don't play in Denver, man.
Wow.
Hey, this is my guess. You get yours?
52.
That's not even far. That's like
52.
Kai's like that's a short putt for me.
Yeah, that's a Kai kick right there.
Yeah.
Daniel Carlson?
Okay, you guys are being way too optimistic about Kai. 1. 2, I just want them to go for it, man. Go for it if it's like a 54-yard field goal. Good Lord.
I don't know. Zimmer's not really one to go for it on 4th and 2 from his 40 or from the other team's 40.
No, it's so dumb.
Where it's like, all right, that's why I got Quigley. We're good. Yeah. Next up, Brian O'Neill's first start is week what? Week blank.
6.
I'm taking the under on that. 3.
Go 1. Just roll the dome, baby.
I was thinking about it.
Just roll out, baby. Or, I don't know, maybe Rashad Hill will get carted off like 9 more times. We'll see what happens. Next up, if the Vikings make a trade, the player traded is blank.
Stacey Coley. No.
It's either going to be a D lineman or Trey Waynes.
Holton Hill. Mac.
Yeah. Mac makes sense.
Yeah.
If a D lineman was traded, who would it be?
Weatherly?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense. The Patriots inquired about him last year or 2 years ago.
Wait, did they actually?
No.
Okay, because that's the most Patriots thing ever. It's like this dude speaks like 6 languages or whatever. Like, that makes so much sense.
Cordero and Weatherly can go to the Boston area Mensa meetings together. It's great. The 2 players most likely to fight at Jaguars Vikings practice are who?
Oh, well,
Now that
Jalen is gone.
Bortles in the ground.
The crowd just protests like, stop beating me up, man.
Diggs and Xavier.
Yep.
What about... is there anyone that's super mean on the offensive line that just wants to start fights?
No.
Not really.
I could see...
Because I could see Yannick getting into it, but I don't know with who.
Calais with...
With who?
I don't know. Maybe they slide him inside and he just...
But who fights?
I don't know.
Isidore's not going to fight. He's too stable. Compton's not going to fight. He's got a self-preservation instinct.
Well, yeah, I think Isidore's not going to fight because he's like, man, I'm just trying to get a job.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You can hit me in the face right now if you need to.
This one's tough.
It is hard.
Let's see.
God, I wish Jalen was
Deshaun Gibson. Who's the other safety?
Barry Church.
Barry Church would fight. I could see Barry Church fighting. Who does he fight? Diggs. Barry Church and Diggs.
Diggs doesn't fight, though.
Diggs chirps, though.
He does. He's very chirpy.
Yeah, it's like your smoke
with a
detector.
smile, though. He'll chirp with a smile.
Yeah, which is even
that's what
that's worse.
And that's
man.
what pisses. And that's what I'm saying. That's what pisses the people off even more.
All right, 2 to go. Then we'll bounce an hour or 2. The player that you would swap from the Jaguars to the Vikings is who?
Jalen and Trey. That just sounds way too good.
Yeah.
Now, would you swap Bowie for Trey?
Yeah, I would.
I guess.
I would.
Yeah. Well, who's good on that offensive line? Andrew Norwell. I mean,
like the juice, huh? Yeah.
Andrew Norwell and Phil.
Would you swap Xavier for Jalen right now?
I would.
Yeah, he's
absolutely.
Jalen's better.
Maybe he's younger. He's better,
and he's better.
Yeah.
He's already better. That's fine. So here's the thing about Xavier Rhodes is, I think Vikings fans way overrate him. He's a Pro Bowl and he's a Pro Bowl quality corner. But he's not like better than Pat Pete. He's not better than Jalen.
But he's already at a. You think he's already at a ceiling though?
Xavier, I mean, he could get a little bit better. Yeah.
But a little bit better wouldn't be a Jalen Ramsey. A little bit better wouldn't. Pat Pete. And that's like fine. He's like a really good friggin' corner, but he's not ever going to be a Sherman level, Revis level. No, and that's why for me, that's why I get excited about a guy like Mike Hughes, because
we don't know what his ceiling is.
We don't know what his ceiling is, and I think his ceiling could potentially be.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Mike is so
right.
He's so good.
Right. you guys played Rick Spielman, so right now...
Chris Spielman, you mean?
Yeah, Chris.
I mean, I like Chris, too. I mean, it's pretty decent.
You said Chris twice.
Twice? No one...
Also, Doug Marone's looking a little thick. I think that's the post-game bologna sandwiches.
He looked pretty big today.
An offensive line coach. I never really noticed.
Yeah. That's why Janako's kind of weird, because he's like 5'8".
Yeah.
Maybe like 160. He's like...
I mean, like Skarnecchia was like all of 90 pounds. Right?
Yeah, but that's age.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. All right. You be Rick Spielman, and I'll be Dave Caldwell. I'll ring you up. What's up? Hey, all right, so let's get nuts on this bit. Jalen Ramsey and Malik Jackson for Xavier and Shelton.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Do they want anything more?
Throwing Carlson.
Man, you're the worst Spielman ever. That would be tough. Could you throw in a second?
All right.
What about a 1 and a 4?
More. Jalen Tayshaun Gibson for
all right.
Xavier. And I think we know.
Do we, though?
I think we know.
What, Anthony Harris? Yes.
No, Harrison.
No, man.
Ooh, no. Mm-mm.
That was a good one, though. I like that. Especially because, like, statistically, cornerbacks just matter more.
Yeah, they do.
But
I'll throw in Calais for Weatherly.
Bortles for Simeon.
Calais, what's your thoughts about rotating Chris Long style? Come on, baby. Come on. All right, last one. The player to have the Roc Thomas type game on Saturday, not named Roc Thomas, is who?
Mike Boone.
That would be hilarious.
That's what his dad thinks is going to happen.
Yeah. Mike Boone's dad tweeted at me after I gifted his run. That's grown man yards.
I think just because of yesterday, I could see Kendall Wright having a really good day.
He's had one good day, man.
I'm just saying. I'm just gonna give it to him.
12 days, according to Zimmer's math, we've had 12 days of camp. He's had one good day.
He said
Kendall Wright is bad now.
He is.
Well, now you just sound like the rest of the NFL evaluating him, except for the Titans.
No, the Roc Thomas game award prediction goes to man. Zilster's not going to be healthy. Dang.
No, he's not. That's why I didn't go with him. I went with Kendall.
Not Conklin. Crap. This is tough. It's definitely not Kendall. Jeez, what are you...
Man, it's my pick.
Yeah, and I'm making fun of it.
Yes, I know. Instead of picking, you're stalling for time. Go ahead.
Well, I can't think of anyone that would be interesting.
Kendall would be interesting.
No, Kendall is. It's not going to.
It would be interesting though.
It's not Kendall. That's lower than Tavares King on my list of Roc Thomas award winner. Chad Beebe.
Oh,
baby.
He's come on recently. Had a good week.
Well, I mean, based on how Kirk has been playing, I mean, Chad Beebe might have a very, very good day out.
Yeah. Also,
That's true.
I like that Kendall Wright was drafted before everyone realized that Baylor players are trash. So here's just a sampling of Baylor
Except
players.
for Josh Gordon, come on.
Well, he doesn't count.
He really doesn't, does he?
Nah.
He kind of takes himself out of the equation.
Yeah, because supplemental draft pick. I mean, come on.
So,
09, Jason Smith, number 2 overall. He was great.
Oh, wow.
Danny Watkins, the Canadian firefighter.
He was like 26 when he was drafted.
Well, you know. Terrence Ganaway, Kendall Wright, Robert Griffin, the offensive lineman, Robert Griffin, the quarterback,
Right. Yep.
Terrence Williams, Lash Seastruck, who was he the one who worked at Subway?
Yeah, I think so.
Cyril Richardson. Remember, like he was supposed to be.
Can you imagine at Subway? They're like, no, not that name. You're Mike.
Bryce Petty, Spencer Drango, Andrew Billings, Corey Coleman.
Bryce Petty would have worked out if his back wasn't split into 4 separate pieces.
Right, so it's Bryce Petty, Greg Cook, and Teddy. Those are the triumvirate.
Yeah, wow, that's a list.
Yeah. They are bad. Who knew that Big 12 football is actually bad?
What?
Big 12 football?
Yeah.
They knew.
I mean, Terrence Newman objects.
They're like, well, here's my thing. It's like, if you're going to be bad, just have it be high scoring. Don't be bad like Iowa playing Northwestern and have it be like 10-6.
What, you don't like punts?
No.
Yeah.
Also, like Northwestern's field, I'm pretty sure the grass is like 8 inches high.
Mow your lawn.
Northwestern's they're gonna make some waves. They're gonna have like a 6-6 season. You shut your mouth.
No, there's a guy. I'm sure there's a Northwestern player that can run a 4.4 on a track, but with that grass and also the fact that they wear black shoes all the time, just like no, he looks like Will Ferrell after he got shot with a tranq dart in Old School. That's how it looks. Listen to hour 2. It's going to be a good time. Show's available on iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, zonecoverage.com/machine. But for Arif and Yanka, Tom, Mandy, say, hey, now, everybody, let's hour 2.